important, but to us, you'll always be important, okay? We know where it's at. We know where it's at. I'm pleased to say that more than 3,700 local officials from all 50 states have now participated in a White House State Leadership Conference. In recent weeks, we have seen the crucial importance of state, local, and federal partnerships. Natural disasters have struck states across the nation, including each of yours, and very heavily in your states. In every instance, our joint response and recovery efforts have been critical to saving lives and rebuilding communities. The White House State Leadership Conference is a perfect venue for us to share priorities and to forge partnerships. This is a truly exciting time for America. You've heard me say this before, but we just got the World Economic Forum, the recognition that the United States has reclaimed its rightful place after many years of being off the list as the most competitive economy anywhere in the world. Nice. We're back. It's a big statement. And if you look at consumer confidence, we're at the top of every list. We're setting records in terms of that, too. But we got back on the list in the #1 position and world's most competitive. Following the passage of our massive tax cuts and regulation cuts, the unemployment rate has fallen to the lowest level in more than 50 years, 50. We've created more than 4.2 million new jobs and lifted over 4 million Americans off of food stamps. So that's a great number. Median household income in 2017 was the highest level ever recorded. Hispanic American household income reached an all-time high, historic level. Hispanic American poverty and African American poverty have reached an all-time low, the lowest levels ever. That's great. Hispanic American, African American, and Asian American unemployment all recently achieved their lowest rates ever recorded in the history of our country. That's pretty good. We've reached a deal to replace NAFTA. And as you know, I wasn't a big fan of NAFTA. I think it's one of the worst trade deals ever entered into. I rate it second. I won't tell you what first is. There's another one that's actually worse. And I won't tell you it's the WTO, okay? I refuse to tell you the name. But that's a total disaster also. I refuse to say what it is, though. Keep it quiet. Am I allowed to say off the record? Let's see. And we have a tremendous new deal with the United States, Mexico, and Canada, the USMCA, we call it. I didn't want the NAFTA name on it because I saw what NAFTA did many years ago to towns and factories and businesses and what it did to the car companies, where not so much the companies, to Michigan and Ohio and Pennsylvania and Kentucky and so many other places where these companies just left the United States. So we still have empty factories all over the place from that devastation of NAFTA. Well, we have just the opposite. The USMCA, one of the strongest things about that, you're not going to have companies leaving anymore because they have a disincentive to leave. I don't want them to leave. Call me a nationalist if you'd like. But I don't want companies leaving. I don't want them firing all their people, going to another country, making a product, sending it into our country, tax-free, no charge, no tariff, no nothing. And in the meantime, we end up with empty plants, unemployment all over the place. We end up with nothing. So those deals are not happening anymore. We also completed a wonderful new deal with South Korea. This was a deal that the previous administration did, and they promised 250,000 jobs. They said this will create 250,000 new jobs, and they were right. For South Korea, not for us. They produced 250,000 jobs. We got nothing except loss. So we've renegotiated the deal with South Korea. Now it's a reasonable deal. Just last week, I signed a presidential memorandum to dramatically improve the reliable supply and delivery of water critical to states like California. It's one of the most ridiculous things. I saw it on the campaign trail, and I saw it numerous times, but I was out in that area. actually with Congressman Devin Nunes, who's a terrific guy, and some of the congressmen that right now are out there so happy at what I signed. And I look at these incredible, beautiful fields, and they're dry, like dry as a bone. And I see hundreds and hundreds of acres as far as the eye could see. And then you'd have a little, tiny little green patch in the corner, just beautiful green. It's so beautiful, so rich. And I said, what's going on? You have this little patch, and then you have all this dry, horrible, really, to me, it was horrible. It was all dry land. And they said, I said, you must have a tremendous drought going on. This is like 3.5, 4 years ago. I said, you must have a tremendous drought going on. They said, no, we have so much water, we don't know what to do with it. But they don't let the water come down to us. It naturally flows to us. They won't let it. They send it out into the Pacific Ocean, millions and millions and millions of gallons. We have the greatest farmland anywhere in the world, but they won't give us water. So the only areas are if we take little spots on these massive areas of land. I could see it. I'm driving down the highway. Then I'm saying, after like 10 minutes of looking at all this barren, then a little spot of beautiful, so green. I've never forgotten it. And I said, what's going on here? But I assumed it was a drought. They said, no. The government, state and federal, send the water out into the Pacific. I believe he said they're trying to protect a smelt, little tiny, which, by the way, is doing very poorly. It's doing very poorly. Nobody knows what a smelt is. I still don't know what a smelt is. But it's doing very poorly. It really is a terrible thing. I said, so let me ask you. And they have a like a valve, but massive, like from a faucet, but massive. And they turn it, and the water goes pouring, Elaine, out into the Pacific Ocean, where it means nothing.